Collaboration really is bringing together a very diverse set of individuals, diverse cultures, skills, backgrounds, and talents.
Working out together as a team, having common goals.
It's a reflection of the notion that, all of us is smarter than any one of us.
Most of what you do on a daily basis has to do with other people.
It's about creating relationships with people and maintaining relationships with people.
When we can combine our minds, combine our unique perspectives, share information, and work to create something, we create something much bigger, much broader, much stronger than what one of us can create. Given that, to pick up Tom Friedman's quote, the world is flat. Given that we live in a flatter world, we have the opportunity to work with people next door, around the corner, in the next country, another part of the world. We just have, huge opportunity to create more.
Electronic collaboration is where two or more people are working with each other via the computer to accomplish some kind of goal or have an interaction. And nowadays, those technologies are either more available or less costly, and so that's why it's much more popular now. You can do it almost for free. Collaboration 1.0 essentially were when we had various tools starting in about 1970s, 1980s. So things like email, it was about content, it was about data, and the Web 1.0 was really very much reflected that. You'd take whatever you had on paper and put it up as a web page. So it's very much focused on content. Google came out of that. Google is searching on content. Well, it turns out that the web itself is a real good way for people to connect with each other. And, one of the problems is that when we find a new technology, we tend to use it in an old way. We use it the way we know we're used to. With the web, the same thing happened. The first order effect was we focused on content. The second order effect is we're now focusing on people. The third order effect is that we'll start to get more, the web will be more ubiquitous so that we can have more sorts of interactions.
There were three of us. We were just kind of experimenting with stuff. It was kind of at the beginning of when the Web 2.0 things were starting. I was noticing some interesting stuff that was going on in the browsers. We were playing around with some technical innovations. We thought it would be kind of interesting to build something that looked more like an application. So we built the word processor, and we very, very quickly got told by our users that what they really wanted was to work together. And so we started pursuing the collaboration, the real-time editing, so people could edit at the same time, but also the revision tracking and all the other stuff, so people could edit not at the same time. They could work on the documents however they wanted to. And all of us come from a background in consumer software, and so we tried to make the software very, very easy to use. We didn't want to have a big setup. We didn't want it to be a program that you had to install or hardware that you had to buy or anything like that, or almost any way browsers work. We just use it. Well, this is one of the things I really like about the online software is you get a lot more direct feedback because it's a much more continuous process. You don't do these big, long year-and-a-half development cycles. You develop things and you release them every week, every 2 weeks, and you get a lot of feedback from your community very quickly.
I worked on a 9-month project with 2 other graduate students from Stanford and 3 students who go to a university in Cali, Colombia. And it was sponsored by Autodesk. And so for 9 months, we worked on developing a solution for enabling remote brainstorming between distributed groups of designers. So we ended up realizing that in order to brainstorm, people need to be able to share drawings and share gestures really quickly in order to be able to describe their ideas so they can quickly make decisions and move on. And so we ended up building a tool that could capture these drawings and share them, just like when you draw on something and you stick it on you draw on a Post-it and stick it on a whiteboard. It kind of follows that design mantra. To collaborate and communicate better with our teammates in Colombia, we use a lot of different remote video conferencing and audio conferencing tools. One of our favorites was using a Polycom video conferencing setup, which is just a nice camera and a large screen TV setup, so it's almost like you have eye contact with your remote colleagues. Collaborating with a foreign university was a really great opportunity. One, because it seems like all corporations are going global, and so it's great practice for us as students to learn how to do global collaboration well. And I think it was also a benefit to our project because our remote teammates came in with different perspectives, different point of views, different lifestyles that I think added a lot to the project.
If you think back 20 years ago, if somebody gave you a computer that had the internet, was connected to the internet, you would say, "What's that?" 10 years ago, if somebody gave you a computer that was connected to the internet, you say, "That's cool, it's kind of cutting edge." Now, if somebody gave you a computer that was not possible to be connected to the internet, you would consider it broken. It's not very useful.
We have in the slide deck we use for teaching and training purposes an activist carrying a placard that says "Collaborate or die." If you're not collaborating, you're going to die as a business. You've got to learn how to work together.
How many things do you do on your own anymore, where you can do the whole task just you? Normally, today, things are so complex, you do a piece of something and let someone else do another piece, and another person does another piece, and you work on it all together. It's very hard for us, we're not an agrarian society anymore. It's very hard for us to do anything all on our own.
A great way to look at that is to think in terms of the process of productivity. Years ago, we used to have what are called value chains. You can picture an assembly line in an automobile factory, the old Model 8, exactly. Now we work with value coalitions. Many people, multiple people, contributing to the same thing at the same time to create a product, usually the product of their knowledge work.